Check one, check two. Check one, check two. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You can hear me?
Let me try something though.
You can
Mic
hear me
check.
now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear
All
me?
right. Yeah, I can hear you. I just saying I wanted to have my stuff so I could play my music and my sound effects, but I'm gonna have to I might have to figure that out another time right now.
Okay.
All right, first of all, man, what up with it? Good morning, man. It's the morning broom. Yours truly, Don P. Getting it in, doing it how I do it Monday through Fridays. You can catch me right here live. This is the Wednesday recap, man. Coming back after Essence. We took a couple of days, but we are back at it again. Mr. Servon, it is a lot going on out there in the world. Talk to me, my friend. Talk to me, my friend. Where you at with it?
Oh man, you know, I'm more concerned with how our youth go forward in light of some of the things that, which has happened with the young man Nolan who lost his life. How our youth proceed out here. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of us, you know how the game go. We all want our kids to be in situations to be well rounded, dealing with other races and everything else. You know what I'm saying? Is that, do we need to teach them? Teach them to not look at skin color, of course, and get judge on character, but at the same time, what I'm saying, be aware of who you with and who and because I always say to our kids, we tell our black kids, watch the people you be around. Talking about other black people. Do we have to look at it and say, watch everybody? You know what I'm saying, at the same time and understand and whatever. So that's really weighing on me because, we all have a Nolan, you know what I'm saying? And we all have sons, you know what I'm saying, and things like that. So that's on my mind. And we know we coming off Essence, and some of the things that were good by Essence, some of the things people complained about. I mean, we know the world right now with everything that's going on with these conflicts and then this World Cup thing, something I want to talk about that I've seen insensibly, the racism, you know what I'm saying, that intensively that have always been within soccer, you know what I'm saying, and some things that I saw that has happened, you know what I mean? So it's just like, man, the world is really black and white right now. Every aspect and every way right now. Look like it's to its highest, like it's coming to a boiling point. So we got a lot to talk about, entertainment wise. Big Tigger, who's a very good friend of mine, who's been in the
Oh
news lately.
man, this Big Tigger situation has been
Yes.
crazy.
And it's coming to light now, you know what I'm saying? So I know we'll talk about it today. And it's coming to light right now. And I think sometimes you sent me something one day about, as far as black men, black women and black men, and I'm looking at the situation with Tigger because everybody prosecuted him. Everybody prosecuting being a black man and everybody, and now videos coming out, situations coming out, where you get some I apologize, my brother, for coming at you like it did, even men, and especially because he's a somebody, famous. And so the way, where even men jump on it, that's a famous guy, because I'm starting to see that too. And that's something I want to talk about, whether it's today or tomorrow, about black people to black men towards other famous black men. You know what I'm
So,
saying?
so what I'm doing, not to cut you off, I'm trying to keep notes on all of these different
Oh, I'm
topics that
sorry.
you
I'm
wanna
sorry. I'm
that,
sorry.
that you wanna catch up on.
Yeah.
No, you're not doing anything
Yeah.
wrong. I'm just trying to take notes because there's a lot of these things that I have a different take on it, and I kind
Hmm.
of want to remember, you know, what my take on each and every one of these topics, man. So as I'm getting ready to jump into this, I want to remind everybody in that brew crew, uh, hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that share button, hit that like button for me.
And,
And
the Poochie, Gucci and Pooch Shiesty thing, it's not just about it's the mindset of black people when it comes to that situation. You know what I'm saying? So, I definitely want to get into that because, that hits you home. That's Atlanta. and Gucci and stuff like that, and how
I'll
do we?
be honest with you, man. Even more so, that hit me at home. A lot of people, some people don't know that I grew up in Mississippi,
Mm,
and the
ooh,
same
ooh,
area where Nolan Xavier
yeah,
Wells is from. I grew up in that area. Horn
yeah,
Island that they are talking about. I have
yeah.
been to that place many of times. And I'll be honest with you, sir. Sometimes the only black person.
Oh man.
That's a realization.
So really and honestly, it
I'm
made
not
you
even
think, huh?
making this up.
No, it made you sit back and think of those days and those times. Like that could have been me.
No, definitely that definitely nah, it didn't make me feel like that could have been me. Because it never
'Cause
made
that,
me feel like no, it never made me feel like it could have been me, because I just felt like even though I've done some of those things, I think I was a different type of person. Even though I was very diverse, I have always been aware. Like, and so I had a very realization and understanding of, you know, water safety and how to be safe about water. I had a real different understanding about understanding the difference in cultures, right?
yeah.
Like even though I had a lot of white friends, and you feel what I'm saying, and
Mhm.
I did a lot of activities that may be deemed as white activities. I The way my parents raised me, they always raised me to understand where I come from, and instead of us ignoring the differences, we talked about those differences, we expressed those differences, and we talked about how to deal with those differences, and then not even just dealing with race, because really in all actuality, I do want to talk about that situation, because I do have a different take on it, right? Yes,
Mhm.
race do kind of play a part on this. And I was talking to one of my really good friends out there in Mississippi, and he just made me realize something, bro. It Like when we grew up out in that particular area, I know the first thing people say when you think about Mississippi is, oh, the first thing you think about is how racist Mississippi is. But what I will tell you about the Gulf Coast, and I'll tell you about this from my personal experience, the I have experienced more racism in New Orleans than I have growing up on the Gulf Coast.
That's
The
that's
Gulf
that's
the
different.
the Gulf Coast is extremely different from other parts of Mississippi.
well, maybe
I'm
that's it,
telling you, I'm
because New
telling you
Orleans.
this from
Yeah, I
my
don't know.
personal experience. This is
Yeah, yeah,
somebody
yeah,
that
yeah,
grew
yeah,
up
yeah.
there.
That's your personal experience. Yeah, yeah. Because
No,
I know I know me being on the Gulf Coast, but the
I'm not
Gulf Coast
saying that
up.
racism don't exist, but what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying is it is way less than what people would stereotypically think, right?
Mm.
And
Yeah,
so I do
yeah.
kind of want to add some of those things into the story when talking about this Nolan Xavier Wells story. And before we even get into talking about that, one of the things I would like to do is I would like to make sure I send out condolences to the Wells family, man. Some of those people went to my church. The Wells family is a big family in Mississippi. I'm talking about all the way across Mississippi, right?
Mm.
So one of the things that I want to do before we get into talking about this in great links is I want to say, first of all, I want to say, condolences to the family in Mississippi, and also condolences to that community, man. Because my community is going through it right now, right?
Mm.
Like I think this is a side of it that a lot of people, they're watching the internet, they're watching the national news, and I think this is I'm gonna be able to give you a side of this thing that a lot of people are not thinking about. And so, just like I told you before, I said, man, it's not Gulf Coast Mississippi is not how people stereotypically think about it. It's not like North Mississippi. Like I used to say this all the time on the radio show in multiple different ways. I always said, well, where I grew up in Mississippi, it's just a lot different. It's different from North Mississippi. We didn't even get along with people from North Mississippi because their way of thinking was just so different. And so when we're going through this, a lot of the people that I know and I rock with at home, white and black, they are very, very number one in grief, number two in discomfort, because everybody that's not from there has this stereotypical idea of Mississippi. And how we grew up, we didn't grow up as divided as most people would think. Like I told you before, I have experienced more division as far as race wise in New Orleans.
Yeah,
I have
that
I have experienced
I don't
I have
see that, but
experienced
yeah,
more division race wise in Georgia, not Atlanta, but Georgia,
yeah,
right?
Georgia, yeah, yeah, I can get that. I
And
can
and
believe that
so
part.
I think when you talk about these, so I think when you talk about some of these national stories, I think that's the part that some of these national people are getting wrong. Now, am I saying racism don't exist? No, I am definitely not saying that. I'm definitely not saying racism don't exist, but it's definitely more systematic. And so we're talking about this Nolan Xavier Wells situation. I don't think that the racism is so much about the boys and they just did something that was racist. I think is a systematic racism that they're going to have to fight against. And I think a difference in cultures make you bring up race, right? And I think alcohol, horseplay, and this is from my personal experience, right? Alcohol, horseplay, and characteristics of races is is the situation, right? And so the reason that the family hires Ben Crump, because the real racism doesn't happen person to person. The real racism happens in trying to figure out what happened. Somebody was negligent, probably in some kind of way, and instead of them coming forward and saying, "Hey, I was negligent. I did something wrong." You feel what I'm saying? It's more so of their family and their influence. This is where the race is going to come into play, because their family and their influence may come off as an injustice to the family of Nolan Xavier Wells or to black people that deal with trauma of racism. And this is just my thoughts, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel we could definitely have not a too far difference of mindset of that, but we have a little difference of opinion today, so this should be pretty good. People seeing it from both sides, you know, but because I agree with a lot that you said, but let's definitely get into whichever one we gonna get into. Are we gonna save that to the last? You know what I'm saying, or
I
however,
don't know,
whatever
man.
you
We got
want.
a lot of topics to talk about this morning, man. Another thing I want to bring up is this battle between the city and the state.
Yeah, we remember
And
we talked
how you
about this.
feeling about this battle between the
No,
city and the state?
me and you were one of the first when they were having when the mayor's election. We were talking about who should be mayor. One of my reasons for the one Royce Duplessis at the time. Not saying Helena was behind him, but I said Governor Jim Cole Landry. You know what I'm saying? You know what he was gonna do. You there? Well, to Don come back in here somehow, some way. Governor Jim Crow Landry, we both talked about it because somebody has to be able to deal with him and understand where he was going to go and what he was going to do towards New Orleans. So Governor Jim Crow Landry, I knew he was going to be a problem. And so now, he's exercising that problem. You feel what I'm saying? Me and you talked about this when the mayor's race for here. It wasn't that saying that sometime because I liked Helena also, but I liked Royce Duplessis for the simple fact I knew we was going into a battle with the state, of Louisiana because of who the governor was, and that I would have rather have. They say, well, Royce wasn't. He's not a mayor, and this, that, and that. He's never been a mayor, or he wasn't in local city government. You know what I'm saying? You
Go ahead.
Yeah, he's not in local city government. And I said my reason, not just because it was a dear friend, friend of the family, I'm a friend of his family, because he been battling that state legislature and the mayor, and Governor Jim Crow Landry. He been battling that, what I'm saying, for a while. So he knows what he wants and what he wants for New Orleans and what the things he wanted to do. And so I knew this battle was going to come. I knew this battle was going to come, especially when our governor, is a bootlicker for Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? In the Republican Party, the far right Republican Party. So I felt like somebody that knows him and been in that battle every day. That's like me and you. If I know we going into a situation with the radio, I'm going into a situation. I'm stepping aside and say, Don, this was going on. You take care of it because you know how to deal with a radio contract or radio situations better than me. You feel what I'm saying? Because we knew
No,
it
I
was
can
gonna come.
definitely understand that.
Yeah. So I knew this was coming. So this battle
Vice
is
versa, if we was talking about dealing with music.
yeah. So it's like I knew it was coming. And this was what I was talking about. Not saying Helena can't handle business because Madam Mayor, she handling her business. She's standing up. But how hard
That
do
was
you
actually going to
stand?
be one of my questions. How do you think she's dealing with the discourse between New Orleans and Baton Rouge? And do you
Mhm.
like the way that she's navigating the issue?
Yeah, I like it because I think these the charges coming up towards Liz Morel. It's almost like I'm watching this, and don't nobody they gonna get upset when I say it, but you know me, Don. I'm to a point now. I'm gonna say whatever the hell I want to say. Who better to go at Liz Morel? Because I could feel this was what happened. This is my opinion. White people could get at white people in a way that they're getting at Liz Morel. And see, I think what Helena doing. I'm not saying Helena's behind those charges, but that's the game they play in politics. Where it's like you coming at my city, you trying to the remapping and everything else. You trying to control my city, so I know what I'm gonna do. Now I got this, and I'm gonna send this to you. I'm gonna throw this missile at you.
You
And
know what I
so
like? You know what I do like about the situation? I like the situation that with Helena being our mayor, just think if it would have been anybody else, this really would have been
no, say it. If
a
it was a
black.
black male, say it.
Yeah, if it would have been a black mayor, this would be a black and white thing. And
Yes, exactly.
one of the things that I do like about Helena being our mayor at this particular time, it doesn't turn into a black and white thing. And I think it pulls the sheet off of the governor's head, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. It pulls a few layers back so that some of the people that never realized that the governor is really against New Orleans, it takes that whole distraction of race away,
and
and people have to really look at the fact of the matter that the governor is against New Orleans.
and if you know his history, see, a lot of people don't know his history, his family. The movie, what is it, Queens, whatever. That's his family. That racist ass family. That's his family. And New Orleans was always something of his family that they wanted. So you got to really understand who he really is and what he come from. You know what I'm saying? And he knows New Orleans is the bank of the state. We pay the bills. Period. And so controlling New Orleans and then to get his objective across, controlling the judicial system, which means I'm going to put more black people that got all these cases on the docket. Not only I'm going to put you in jail, now you're going to fall under my 85% serving of your time, no probation, no nothing. You're going to jail. See, like ICE is out here coming at immigrants, right? So you can't outright say, black people, we gonna come here and get you and deport you. No, it's a lot of y'all getting in trouble. So if your case is on in these courts, we gonna speed through and send you all to jail, and all you're gonna get trialed as an adult, all the things that he signed in the legislation. So I feel like that's an underlying thing that anybody related to this Trump administration. That's the way to get with black people. For Mexicans, brown people, immigrants, undocumented workers, it's ICE. But for us as black people, we can't just go at them. We can't get them and send them anywhere. But we can jail them. You feel what I'm saying? We can do that. And so when you're looking at Louisiana, especially in New Orleans, all them cases on the books, they all black and they all black men. So if right now you control New Orleans and do the remapping, not just for purposes of what's coming up with the voting that's coming up, so that's coming up real soon, the midterms. You're looking at the fact I take over these courts, and then now I'm gonna put these Republican MAGA judges. You know what I'm saying on here and get rid of these black judges and so all them cases that's backed up that are young black people, you know what I'm saying? Now we gonna now they fall under that situation where he has in his legislation that he got passed, where it's like you got to serve 85% of your time. There will be no probation. You know what I'm saying? And if you're 14, you're gonna get trialed as an adult. So you going to Angola, no matter what. So that is another way of ethnic cleansing to me. And so he knows he has to control New Orleans in that way to in that form of fashion and then get the money. And the thing about it, like you said, now Morena, Madam Mayor, she's people consider her white. You know what I'm saying? So she can fight back different to say if Royce Duplessis would have won. You know what I'm saying? She could fight back different. And
Well, I
then
feel
she
like if
and
it
then and,
go
and
ahead,
they
go ahead. I
know
want to let you finish your thought
and
first.
they know their people. Just like, like we know our people. If somebody get mad at you, we know, okay, I don't have to scream on here. I will see you somewhere. And don't we remember that, right? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I will see you somewhere because I know your habits. I know where I'm gonna see you at, and now we could talk or we can do it however you want to do it. So we know ours, they know theirs. And then another thing that's gonna throw him off with the Madam Mayor is she's a woman, and he comes from this male society, domination society, especially his family. You know what I'm
Do what I
saying?
tell you to do type
Yeah,
vibes.
yeah. And so no woman could speak. So that's gonna
I
throw him
said what I
off.
said type
Yeah,
vibes.
exactly. And so Liz Morel does that for him. She does his bidding. So what's so smart about I'm not saying the mayor behind it, but it's so smart. It's so happened. It's like, okay, y'all coming at us. Now we're gonna bring charges up on you because we know who you are, Liz Morel. So now we're gonna shake up your office and have you worrying about fighting for your freedom. So now your pet that you got, Governor Jim Crow Landry, they busy fighting for their freedom. So now what you gonna do? So how you gonna fight us now? You feel what I'm saying? So now it's very important to voting because who we vote and put up there in the state has to fight for us because now the mayor really New Orleans has even the deal because see he had the governor and you had Liz Morel, right? Now Liz Morel is busy fighting for her freedom, so the governor is by himself. So if we got the right people up there fighting for the agenda and on the same level as our mayor, you're not gonna take this city. Because if he gets this city, he's already look what they did to Calvin Duncan. Look what they've done to the newly elected. If he gets that and gets these courts, he's gonna run rampant. Remember, they put the National Guard here. You don't hear nothing about whether crime went down and all this other stuff. He got what he wanted. He got the National Guard here. You don't hear none of that
But
because
I think with the governor and basically the city of New Orleans, I think even though I think race and things like that play a part, sometimes I just think that race make things fuzzy, right? Because in all actuality, I think the governor is really about money. I think their regime and what they stand for, because he's a Donald Trump follower.
he's
And
about
in
money, but he's about
yeah,
race.
in
Trust
all
me.
in all actuality, it's about money and power. Am I saying that race is not an issue? I think it's an issue. I don't know if it's the motivation sometimes. Like sometimes you could
Uh,
be two it could be two things at one time though, bro. You don't think
no,
sometimes
I get that, but I don't want
you
people to.
but let me just throw this out there. You don't
Yeah, go
think
ahead.
sometimes you don't feel like sometimes when we start talking about race, sometimes we start missing like the overall purpose. You don't think that sometimes race could be a part of it? Racism could be a part of it, but at the end of the day, even racism itself, it really always was based around money and power. And so, and so sometimes I think when we start harping on the race part of it, I think we start missing the overall purpose or the big picture because we caught up arguing about the race part of it, and the race is a part of it. Race and racism is a part of it, but I don't know if it's the root. I
Okay,
I, I just think it's more of a situation about money and power sometimes,
let me tell you something,
and
man,
and and racism just becomes a byproduct of people being greedy and wanting money and power.
and that's understandable. But please understand this: if I want you, and I'm gonna give you a great example. Okay, the author of Project 2025. You know, do you know why it was it's so effective and it's been going on and it's been going on across the United States even before Donald Trump came in? That it started because you know what he did. You know why he had that rope, why he had that whole Project 20, why he was able to write that thesis, that whole situation. He studied African American history. He studied where our weaknesses, our downfalls, and everything. That whole thing is not just based on immigrants and things like that and immigration. You know, it's the agenda, the base of the fact that they don't want white people to become the minority, and that means the strength to come into to black and brown, but more black. So what I'm saying to you is, you know, one of the things that I was taught by a black professor at Norfolk State, he always said he said they want us to not forget about and push aside the fact that is based on anything based on race. They want us to get to the point because if you look at it like right now, and it's so funny you said that. I had somebody that was talking about that I had to correct him, and I put up something about showing the white kids when they do the takeover in the city and they fighting and they're like, okay, why they make it so bad when the black kids do it? It's both wrong, right? And so black kids get arrested, but the white kids don't. The police stand by. And so long story short, you know, he told me I was a fan of yours. You were one of the best on No Limit, but it seemed like, man, all you talk about is black and white and make it about white stuff and white people not the reason you young black youth are out of control. You know, I don't want to listen to your music or whatever, whatnot no more. Maybe I should unfollow you. And so he was still following. And I told him, what you want me to shut up and just rap? I said, you will not tell me what I can say and what I can't say. And see, now as black people that we speak up more and we have more of a platform to the world, you know, I feel like they want us to look at this because the one thing that also is being said is there y'all go rage baiting. Is everything black and white? Y'all always talking about racism and 400 years and oppression and everything. And there's, you know, and it's like, it's to the point that they want us to, well, you know, I don't want you to get mad because I speak my opinion and saying this seemed like it's a little racist and I could speak out. They want us to not look at it that is the most underlining thing that is being done. Because, you know, when you look at anything that's being done to us right now, look at the remapping of the districts. The remapping that, you know what I'm saying, that's to steal the midterms. That's to take these majority black districts, you know, away, you know what I'm saying, and take that representative and put a Republican representative there. You know what I'm saying? We in a red state, and if Republicans are so great, you know, and I'm not a Democrat, because see, when a black man says anything against his administration, they call you a Democrat, and then our black people out there that are so down on their own people, you know, they say, oh, you're a liberal, you're a Democrat. No, I'm an American that speaks up for my community, and so I think it's a trick to make us say, you know, it's not all black. It's not racist what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? It is money and power. It's always, but to get money and power that have been done in history was to oppress. It was, and then also to make us think that they're not doing us nothing wrong. This were the best is not racist. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Light, you touching this. So let me touch something. What you doing? You keep touching. Every time you touch the
Can you hear me now?
yeah, yeah.
Sorry about that, man.
Look here,
Trying to
bro. You
stream on a different format, and I got all kind of stuff going
say, bro.
going
Let me
on.
tell you something, bro. Don't this is like what the racism we were just talking. Don't try no new tricks, producer. Don't try no new tricks. You
if
know.
if I if I try a new trick, it's for the better. I promise.
I had an awesome soliloquy going on here, and you messed it up. I think you hating on me. See, that's racism.
No, 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 no,
No,
no, no.
but what I'm saying is
I,
I'm
I
not
heard
denying.
I heard a lot of what you were saying when you was talking about, the teen takeovers, and you
No,
was telling and you talked about the Project 25, and you were saying one of the things that they want to do is make us think that
that is not
right.
to get to forget the part that it is race driven. You know what I'm saying? And they want us because I mean, if you pay attention to the psychological warfare that's going on, if I speak on something simple, like I said, a long time fan of mine's basically told me, don't speak up like that no more. You used to be cool. I used to like your music, and now I'm unfollow you because you make everything black and white. Now, this was a Hispanic person telling me this. You get what I'm saying? Somebody that should be looking at everything racism wise right now. And
And
so,
look, so this is the reason. This is the reason that I'm telling you this. Am I saying racism don't exist? I'm not
no,
saying
no, no,
that.
no.
I
I ain't
I,
say you
I
saying that.
understand. I understand that racism exists. I also think that because people know that racism exists, a lot of people that are opposing forces uses the idea of racism to manipulate us as people because they know that they can manipulate us, they can get us to do certain things by race baiting us. I think that is a thing, and I think overall, do I think race is important? Yes. Even Jeezy was like, yo, nah, Don, racism play a big part of it. I do think that racism play a big part of it, but I
But
think
but but
sometimes when we get caught on racism and the racism part of it, I feel like we start losing the battle because we can't see clearly the best strategic on accomplishing what we want to accomplish because we getting caught up on something that we already know exists.
Well, but no, but that I don't. You know, this is why I disagree that we don't get caught up on it because honestly, it's the perfect chess move. Because if we know and we know what it was, what they're putting in front of us, what they're doing, it's like the distractions that's going on. Like the Iran conflict is a distraction. We don't. Nobody realize how many law said he signed
Let me let me
executive
let me
orders.
let me ask you a question real quick. Let me ask you a question real quick. So you talk a lot about the Iran conflict, right? So do you think the Iran conflict is about race, or do you think it's about money and power?
Let's be totally honest, because if you're trying to, not saying you're purposely twisting that up to prove your
No, I'm
point.
not. I just asked
No,
the
no,
I
no,
just
no, no,
asked
no,
the
no. I'm
regular
I'm, I'm gonna
question.
answer you. I'm gonna answer you. When you look at it, it's both. because what's going on is now look all the black lieutenants and generals that have been relieved of their duty. Now, the underlying situation that comes there, if we go to Iran and we're victorious, right? You know what I'm saying? Because Pete Hesget, whatever he is, whatever the war self defense, defense or whatever, I can't remember because he done changed his name so many times. He wants his all white military. It's evident. It is evident what he's
Boom.
doing. So hold on. I know
At
it's
the
money.
end
And
of the
I know
day,
it's okay.
I want
It's
to
it.
I
You.
want to give you your opportunity to speak on this, but
I
I'm
can't. I want to answer. That's what I'm trying to tell you. But I'm not gonna hold you. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll
go ahead.
answer it later.
Nah, go ahead.
No, but I'm telling you, it's both. Because if you're sending them over there and you're relieving all these black generals, and he had to prove it also, he gets to prove his point. If we're victorious, it was led basically by all white generals, all white generals, right? And proving that our military, because Trump said it recently in his speech, right? His speech that, first of all, the day before, he did it in front of these people of the Confederacy, right? And so, ironically, the Patriots, the white supremacist group, marched through D.C. the next day, same basically uniforms. But if they're victorious in Iran, and he said our military, we've rebuilt our military, and it's better, which
Let
means
me
they
know when you get
relieved.
to a stopping point.
Okay, well, go. I'll tell you what. That's my point. It's both. We know it's about money and power. Everything they do is about money and power. But at the same time, there's an underlying condition when he's saying we rebuilt our military, which means the only thing that was done differently with the military. All these black generals were removed. They were removed, men and women. So that's considered rebuilt to them, making them almost all white military
I
on the
would have
top.
to. I'll be
So
honest with you. I would have to
go
check the facts
go check
on
it.
as
Go
far
go.
as like black generals being removed. One thing I know that right now, currently today, based off of my brother and a lot of people, there are a very lot of high-ranking black officials in the military, bro.
I know
And
this.
I,
I
I, I
know.
think right. And I think if we was to do a general consensus and somebody asked me, what is if we did a general consensus, even with people in the military, not civilians, even with people in the military, even people in politics, I have never heard anyone out of all of these intelligent people say the war in Iran or the Iran conflict is based on race. Everybody that you
Okay.
would talk to would say it's based on money and
Okay.
power.
Listen to what I'm saying.
It,
Listen to
it,
what.
it, it's,
Okay.
it, that's what
Okay.
that's what the majority of the
Okay.
people
Listen.
would
I said.
say.
Listen to me. Don't twist that. I said it is both because when you look at it, it's also religion. You know what I'm saying? It's also religion.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
also
Religion is
no,
a
no,
part
but
of
but
it.
it's actually both. It's actually both. Yes, we know it's money and power. Number one, that's number one. In control of the Middle East, in control of oil and energy. That is number one. That's
Which
what this
reverts
administration.
back to money and power.
I said it's both. When you asked me the question, you wanted me to pick one or the other. I'm
Which
telling you,
one you think is more?
I'm telling you, of course, it's money and power. At the same time, it's money and power, but we also trying to prove a point, which I'm trying to show you. If he's saying it's a rebuilt military, and part of the rebuilding of their way of rebuilding it is removing a lot of these black generals and black lieutenants that have been removed, male and female. Okay, and Hex said wants this all white military. It's everybody know it. And so if you got to think if they go over there and they take care of every business and they got the Straits of
So
Hormuz, okay,
so
they
you telling me So you telling me right now the United States is working on building an all-white military, but they are going to recruit kids from the poorest
okay, but
neighborhoods.
but listen, but
Make
but you
make
not
make that
okay.
make sense.
Okay, I'm about to make it make sense to you. If you're head of generals, that's the same way in the NFL when black quarterbacks were not they didn't want black quarterbacks to start because they said they couldn't read defenses. They could not understand. That's why you had the Dan Marinos and they were the faces, the Roger Staubachs. So if you're putting now, we're removing all of the black leaders in the military. If you're removing a lot of them, and then all of them are now every one of them are white, right? We're not talking about the whole military as a whole. Don't try to twist. I'm very good at this. So
Hey,
they got. Don't
I'm
say
not
I'm not.
trying
I'm
to
not
twist it.
talking about. I'm talking about
I'm
leadership.
just asking you real questions and just
But
challenging your ideology.
I'm.
And just to clear things up for anybody that's out there listening, I'm not saying that racism don't exist. What my theory is, sometimes we get caught up on arguing about race, and I think sometimes we missing the overall goal of where we should be. If we want to take our race to the next level, we need some money and power. And sometimes while we arguing about the bottom piece of it, oh man, people are racist. People are racist. We know they racist.
Okay,
Sometimes we should be focusing on getting the money
but
and the
but that
power
but
so
Don,
that we could better help our
but I
race.
think you see, I think you only see one track of it. Just because someone says, we talk about race, we have to have that discussion. If we are
So
saying
what's the
that, and
two
this is wait,
tracks?
hold on. We don't mean we lose sight of it. We also add a component to know that we know what people are trying to do. If they want this area of land, if they want this area of the city that's majority black, right? We know the reason they want it, but we know what they want to do. But we know the reason also inside of it. One of the biggest reasons is that yes, it's because it is black. It is where a lot of money is coming to and money that they want. So it's still money and power. We're not losing us. A lot of us that say, you know what, that's racist. That's not cool. We don't get so deep in it. It's racist, racist. We're not looking at the business. We just pointing out because it's a smart thing to do. If you really want to mentally deal with white supremacy on a level that it's on, then you have to also let them know, I know what you're doing. I know it's a race factor in it, but I still see what you're doing, and we're gonna combat that also. Because the
I'm gonna
problem
ask you
that we
another
have,
question.
the problem we have as black people, we are getting to a point where now we're arguing whether, man, you're tripping about racism, you know what I'm saying? And you part of the divide. We have a lot of black people that are doing that
I'm
right
not
now.
saying that.
That and because
Let
you
me
know
let me
it
be
does,
clear. I'm not saying that.
but
That's
a lot of
that's that's
people,
not what I'm
but
saying.
but but we're not. When you hear people speak on racism, they're not losing sight of what's going on and what needs to be done. Because the problem that needs to be done is that we are choosing competition amongst each other over collaboration. And we don't have loyalty with each other. We're not building within each other. We're not building a nation. We are within this nation.
Which
We're not
which one
supporting
would
black
help our
businesses.
race? What would help our
Excuse,
race better? What would help our
huh?
race better? Let me ask you a question. I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. I'm with you. I hate to keep cutting you off. I just want to ask questions because I want to you on a roll. I want to give you an opportunity to speak your piece. I'm trying to
Oh no, no. Go
100%.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, brother.
I'm trying to 100% feel where you coming from. But at the same time, make sure that I don't get misjudged because I'm asking certain questions. Which one would help our race better? If we were focusing on the fact of the matter that people are racist, or if we focused on us being more collaborative amongst each other.
Of course, it's a more collaborative, but don't misscrew. Let me tell you something. Don't misscrew, and that's what I'm trying to say to you. Just because we say that's racist, our mind is not off what is being done. The underlying thing of what they're doing, because sometimes, yes, they can do some things to make us sit down and say, okay, they're being racist, and then we're not really seeing what they're doing because we're so mad that we're being racist. We're not like that. That's what they misconstrue on us. That's just like with somebody telling me that, man, I love your music, but not everything with you is black and white. But yet you just bought my new music. Did I stop doing music? Did I stop giving you songs? Because that same person was just telling me that was one of the hottest songs you put out in a long time. So did I stop doing music? But at the same time, I'm still getting on here with you and pointing out that we will not be played with. This is a different day and age of who we are. We see what you're doing, and we're going to combat it because people like me and you get off here. We might say, I see the racism, but we get off here and say, you know what? We're going to push that everybody go to this nail shop that's black owned, or we're going to push that everybody go over here to this food, to this black owned restaurant, or we still going to do what we're supposed to do to combat what we need to combat, but we have to also play the game of chess with them. So just to say, Well, let them think we think that's all it is. Oh, you fighting about his races, you racist, and we got our mind off. No, we also playing the same chess game as you. A lot of us playing that
Cause
same game.
my opinion, I disagree. I think sometimes there are some smart people out there that understand it as a totality, but I feel like a lot of times just the base of our community, I feel like sometimes we get caught uh and stuck on low hanging fruit. And sometimes that low hanging fruit is just, the racism part of it. Do I think
Okay,
racism? Do I think racism is a part of it? I definitely think racism is a part of it. I think black and white people get manipulated with race. I think the
okay.
government
Let me ask you this
uses.
then.
I think the government and people of power uses race to manipulate black people, white people, Asian people, Hispanic people, when really in all actuality, it's a bunch of powerful people that's sitting up at the top that is just working us with the puppet strings.
Okay, let me
And
ask
all
you
they
this.
got to
So,
do,
so
and all they got to do is dangle something that has to do with race in front of us, and then all of a sudden we forget all about all of the stuff that we supposed to be working on, and now we get into this whole race debate. And
but
while we in the
okay.
middle of a race debate, me and my partners, people that I used to be cool with, people that used to be your fan, people that now while we arguing with each other, it's somebody sitting up high in a powerful place making money off of all of us.
So do you think we're do you think black people we're one dimension that once we feel like we racism is against us, we lose all train of thought and then don't stop doing what we're
Yeah,
doing?
sometimes I think,
No, I disagree.
and
I think that
I'm talking about as a whole. Do I think there's
no,
some
no, I'm
individuals
because
do I think that
I
there's
don't
some individuals that
mm-mm,
can see the whole picture?
I don't think we
Yes,
see the
but
see
as
the
a
thing.
whole, I
No,
think we get sidetracked, and I think the
I
proof is in the pudding.
okay, I disagree because see the problem is even those who are white supremacy mindset and everything else, right? And their ideology, right? They also sell us short to think that we're not that smart to be able to say, okay, they're gonna scream racism and they're gonna say, oh, they're gonna scream, but we're not seeing other things and we're not shoring ourselves up. That's just like a lot of the ones on TikTok that say, oh, it's a civil war. If it's a civil war, y'all don't have the bullets. Y'all don't have the food. Y'all don't know how to live off the land. Y'all don't know how to survive. Y'all just wave y'all guns in the hood and everything else, right? And I always shut them up when I say number one. Number one, it's not how many bullets you got, it's who you shoot and where you shoot them at. I said, and number two, our military lost in Iraq and Afghanistan and took losses because we did not know how to fight urban warfare. Which
I
hold up,
wanna I
which
wanna read a
hold
comment
up.
real quick, and I want to get you
Okay,
to give me your opinion on it.
okay, well, go ahead.
There, Poppy, Passover Poppy, he said there's a correlation between education and racism that we don't talk about. It takes a true level of miseducation to believe in the validity of racism. What's your thoughts on that?
It's a lot of what I'm saying. See the thing when it comes to as black people, we are so short that we start some people start believing it that we're not as educated as we really are. You know what I'm saying? And Jay-Z said it once, and people will get mad. Why are you using why I'm answering what your question? You know what I'm saying? When he said, a steak, you can find a steak in the garbage can, and the clock, strikes twice the same every day, the same time. You know what I'm saying? We understand a lot more than what people give us for. They think we all thugs, they think we animals, they think we just rappers and everything else, and have no idea that we do understand everything. And I'm glad that people have
I'm
we
not
have
gonna
a
lie to you, we don't show it in the actions.
okay, we don't show it because now when you look at social media, when you look at social media, yes, the analytics gonna show all the clown activity, but there are many young people. There's some young people I sit down with that are so strong politically wise, political mind wise, that are so strong socialism wise, and understanding everything that they're up against and what their generation has to know and has to learn. We go by a lot of times what we see on social media. That is not that's the same way as me and you sitting down and me and you, who me and you are. We laugh and talk and play on here, right? And me and you know, you sit down and I watch you with your son. You teach him. You teach him the world. You feel what I'm saying? I teach minds the world. Everything that they need to learn. See, what people don't, people assume we're selling on social media. That's not who we are. They could see us clowning, laughing, dancing. That's the look that people go by, but don't understand what goes on when we go on and not on this camera. The what goes on when I leave from here and go off Ames Boulevard and sit with them old men that
Well,
teach me everything.
one of the things that I've always talked about is I feel like social media gives an unrealistic world. Whenever I'm saying what I'm saying about we don't show it, I'm not talking about social media. I'm going merely off of statistics.
Statistics, okay. So I'm gonna ask you this. Okay, when you look at statistics, right? And who's making those statistics? Let's be totally honest. Just like they look at us and say we're the welfare.
I know
Hold on, hold on, hold
statistics.
on.
I know statistics can go one way or the other
Hold
based
on,
off
hold
of
on,
who's
hold
giving the
on.
numbers.
Hold
But
on, I'm gonna
some
show you.
statistics are true.
And guess what? And some are a lie also. Because guess who's making them? That's just like when they call us the EBT.
Well, let's talk about this statistic right here. Let's talk about this one. Who have a higher per capita income, black people or white people?
We know that. That's definite. White people, we know that. We know that. And then it depends. And you have to go deeper. See, that's the
Let's go
thing.
off of this. Let's go off of this statistic right here. Let's go off of this
I'm
statistic
not
right
I'm
here.
not white media control, man. I look deeper and
I'm
I
not
understand
either.
deeper.
I'm just asking you questions. And the point that I'm trying to make to you is you have to be careful about being
Okay.
divisive and people using division to get where they want to go. Right?
Let me ask you this. If
This is the point. That's the only point that I'm trying to make to you this
okay,
morning. Be
13%.
careful. Be careful how people use division to manipulate culture to get what they
So
want out the situation. And I
so
think racism is one of those things that
well, we
people use to manipulate the masses.
so let me ask you this. Would you rather anybody black to, if we know it's something that's racist, don't speak up, don't say anything. Go look
No,
at
I'm
the
not
other part of
saying
what it
that.
might be.
If
No,
you
I'm just
if you
saying.
if you see something racist, I think that you should call them out on that specific racist thing that is happening. But I feel like when you start making everything about race, it gets more difficult to fight racism
Don,
because there are some people that are not racist
Don,
that
nobody
would be
but,
on your side. This
but
goes
you know
wait,
what you
wait, wait.
sound like
Let me
right
finish
now?
this one part. Let me finish this one part of what I'm saying. This is the same reason this is the same reason why I feel like when we were talking about our mayor and the division between the state and New Orleans, one of the reasons that the mayor is going to have more success than a black mayor would have had with dealing with the state, one of the reasons is because there are some. Do I feel like the governor is racist? Yes. Do I feel like the governor have black people interests at heart? No. But you know one of the reasons why you want to know one of the reasons why he's not going to be able to accomplish everything that he wants to accomplish, and one of the reasons he's having a difficult time in accomplishing what he want to accomplish in this majority black city of New Orleans. One of the reasons is because Helena, being a white mayor, she's going to have way more allies, and the state can't use race to get a lot of other people to be on their side.
Okay.
Because when you take race out the picture,
Okay.
people start looking at what's right and what's wrong. But when you start baiting people against each other off of race, a lot of times we lose people that would have been there
Okay.
to help.
Okay, let me crook that for you a little bit, and agree with most of it, and tell you, you know why they won't be able to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's not that the allies that she have, the allies that Helena has that are black, can pull her in the office and say, this is what is really going to do to us that they're doing. This is what we've been through. This is what we've been fighting that she don't understand and she don't know. So it takes somebody black that has that
Hold
mindset of like, this is, hold up, this is racist, Helena, and what they're doing is going to hurt us as a community for us this way, that way. So if they didn't have an outlook to look and notice what racism is, because Helena might not, because every white person don't know, there are white people that sit there and say, hey, as and I done had white friends say it. Man, I didn't know. I didn't know that. I didn't know that's why you feel that way. I didn't even know that the history of this or why you felt that way. Well, sir, maybe I shouldn't have
And let
said
me
that or
and let me
whatever.
make a correction real quick because I want to make a correction on with one of these listeners. He said we got to take a step back though because she's not white. And we're not saying that Helena is white, but what we
No.
will say is she passing.
Well, she's passing them. I mean, even if she
And
like, hold up,
people
hold up,
and,
and
and
whoever that
whether
listener
people want to
is.
believe it or not, people pay attention to that.
Okay, let's be totally honest to even to that listener, which thank you for your comment. When we're saying that, when you really look at it, and I hate to say this, and some people gonna get mad because I guess people gonna come off this show that serve as the mad black guy that's screaming racism, on everything. So let's be totally honest. When you're looking at the totem pole right now, that's why even with Donald Trump, a lot of Hispanic people voted for him, and they're paying the price right now because sometimes they got lost in it. And if you know the history in Mexico, it was a light and dark. It was situations, but whether from Spain, whether it was from Nicaragua and places like that. So long story short, they're saying a lot of Hispanics are leaning towards they're marrying white people. They're leaning towards it. Maybe they feel like this their way to get through it and leaving black people on the island, which we've
I
always
mean,
been
it's the
to.
same thing as
So
sometimes black people don't name their kids urban names because they all of that
wait,
is the
what's the
same
urban name?
ideology.
What would be an urban name?
Keisha, Boquisha,
Okay, all right, all right.
so now you saying I'm making this up?
No, nobody's saying it's making it up. Nobody's saying I'm not saying you're making it up. I
I'm
just
just
asked
saying
what
that's
was
the
her.
same ideology.
Well, I mean, it's sometimes it's
And I
part of
don't know
playing
if
the
that got
game.
anything to do with race. It's just got to do with I'm trying to put
But
my kids or
but
I'm
but
trying to put my family legacy in a better position. And some people will
okay,
go to whatever extents to put their family in a better position. Not
man. Let
saying
me
that
let me
that's right or that work.
But let me tell you something, man. Even back to the Helena situation, you know what I'm saying? When you're looking at it, you know what I'm saying? Even white people that don't that are in power that really, all have a white supremacist ideology, they're starting to look at the fact, you know what I'm saying, that Hispanics, you know what I'm saying, you know, they're better to deal with in so many ways. You might say, well, no, they're getting rid of them out the country, this and that. Okay, that's Project 2025, which was designed or whatever, whatnot, because they want to eliminate the voters where the majority, and things they stay the majority, But Helena, yeah, we know she's Hispanic. We understand that, right? You know what I'm saying? But when you look at it, they will look at it fair and listen more to her and those white people with a bunch of power and money that can help fight against what Jim, because all white people are not racist and they got money and stuff in stake in New Orleans also that they don't want the state to take over. They will far sit with her before they used to sit with the last mayor, who was a black lady. And they'll work with Helena even more so, regardless if she is Hispanic. But to them, you know what I'm saying, that's better than black because there are white
I'm
people in New
saying the
Orleans that
same
got
thing.
a. No, no. I'm agreeing with you. I was explaining to the person that made the comment like, hey, and we hear that a lot. Well, she's not white. She's Hispanic. Well, if you really know the landscape right now, politically right now, where you politically right now, if you black politically and you're Hispanic politically, you know what I'm saying? it'll be more to they will choose you, the Hispanic, before they choose because that seemed closer. Because Hispanic women are marrying white men, which hey, it's a small thing that what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Because they understand and where their power and money at in the situation that's gonna put them in a position to make sure their people are taken care of. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, so with Helena, we all know Helena allies, all of them, the ones that put a lot of money behind her getting there were white. So would they have put that money behind Duplessis? Would they have put that money behind Oliver Thomas? You know what I'm saying? No, they was happy to put
Probably
it
not.
behind her. And it was happy to put it behind her, but also she is somebody that I feel actually cares about the black community. So she's in there, and I feel like she will make that fight against the state because she also have
Which
people that are allies that understands what Governor Jim Crow Landry wants to do, and she learns from black people, and I know this for a fact that some of her advisors that were black, you know what I'm saying, even certain uh campaign commercials that she put up, they put up once, they came down because somebody told her that's not the commercial you want to go with, or don't go
right. And so
at
you
the plus.
so to go back to my point, sometimes we don't have to lead with racism. And because some people were smart enough not to lead with racism, we got a mayor that's in a better position to fight for us and to fight for the city because we didn't lead with racism.
Didn't lead publicly.
Somebody had a thought in their mind that was like, oh, we not gonna lead with racism, and we not like gonna let race bait us into who we gonna decide to support. And because somebody thought that, it put us in a better position. And that is all that I'm saying this morning is be mindful every time we lead with
Don,
race,
but
because
Don, stop.
sometimes not
But
leading
you
with race put us in a better
Don,
position.
but Don, you have to stop thinking that some people, that black people that say that's racism, don't have the overall picture in their mind. We are very intelligent people. We could do two, three things at one time. Sometimes we do it purposely. Sometimes we do it purposely, and that's the thing that bothered me when it comes to us speaking with us, where we get to you got other black people will say, "Man, you race baiting," just by saying, you know what? Donald Trump did a speech in front people that want to keep uphold the Confederacy and talk about the civil Confederate War, and then the next thing you know, the Patriots are walking through D.C. The Patriot Front, the racist supremacist group, and people like, man, you race baiting, you race baiting, and I'm
Man, the
sitting back.
people,
So
the
now I
country
can't. I
race
know I,
bait all the time. The president
but
race bait all the time.
but
That's the
okay,
purpose of me even
but
having this
Don,
stance on what we
well
talking
Don,
about is because
we
a
gonna
lot of
disagree.
times the race baiting is what put us in a worse position because we buy into it. You know how you buy into race baiting? By
Is that
leading with racism.
okay? So you just want? Let me ask you this. So you want us as black people? You think this is where we'd be better off if we don't say anything that's obviously racist, and we don't say nothing, and we just let
I
that
just
go?
told you earlier. I just told you
Because that's
earlier.
what it
You
seems
asked
your
the same
overall thing
question,
is.
but asked it in a different way. And I just told you earlier. I said no. When you see things that are racist, you have to speak up about those things that are racist. But in every conversation, if we talking about certain things, I don't know if leading with race is the best way. That's
Okay,
all I'm saying.
this is my thing. What I gather from it with you, because when I asked you, I said, "Do you think we can't speak on that we feel less racist and then still understand everything else that's going on?" And you said, "Not most, not not the majority. They don't get it." And I'm
And I
like, "You'd be
stand on that.
surprised." And you stand on that, but I'm sorry. I believe different in our people, that our people do understand all aspects of it. Maybe they might not articulate it that way, or maybe they decide I'm going to speak and say that's racist, and say it out there, but that don't mean that they don't understand it. And that's the point that I feel it's a good point and it's a bad point, because I love the fact that people underestimate our intelligence as black people and feel like, okay, we got them. They screaming racism, but we gonna pass this other bill over here that's gonna make it worse for them. Just like number wise, and our own black people do this to us. When they say black on black crime, right? They say who has the most black on crime, black on black crime, I mean, murder rate and this, that, and that in crime. And they say somebody they 13% of the population and they got the most, right? And you know what our
No,
people
people
do? Hold on,
kill
hold on, hold
people
on, hold
that
on.
they
Let me finish.
around.
Let me finish. And know what our people do? A lot of our people who I really call sellouts, and I'm being honest, you know what they do? Man, y'all killing each other and y'all doing this and doing that because they quote the numbers, right? That were put there, not by us, put there, right? And guess what it does? It make our own people turn bad towards their own people, but not look inside those numbers and look inside per capita and per situation of what you're saying. If it's 13% and you're 13% and they're 46%, and if they commit 2,000 murders of white on white, just say white people, and they commit 2,000 murders, but we commit 3,000 murders. We're only
And let me
13%. Hold up. We only 13%. That's
all
how the
right.
manipulation becomes. And they think the same way I'm making a point with you, where they're sitting down thinking black people are not that intelligent to look into the numbers and say, if
I
it's
don't
13%,
I
it's
don't
gonna
even know
look
if I'm let me say this because I gotta stop you, bro. I got to. Because you going off base.
I'm not
And this
going
is
off
how
base. I'm
yes you
explaining
are.
something. See, that's the point I'm
Listen,
saying.
listen, listen
See,
to me. Listen to what I'm saying. First of all, the point that I'm making is not even geared toward black people. It's not geared toward black people. It's probably more geared towards white people.
no,
Even
but
when I
you
listen
said,
to what
but
I'm saying. Wait, even whenever I made the analogy with talking about Helena being with even whenever I made the analogy, we're talking about Helena being the mayor, and because she is more favorable to a white demographic than a black mayor would be, that's not saying anything about black people. That's saying something about white people. Because she is more favorable to a white demographic and the race thing don't become a part of it, she gets more support
we both
from her
agree with
white
that.
constituents.
We both agree with that. I said that in the
And so,
beginning.
well,
That's what was my point.
if we both agree with that, then it's irrelevant to argue about
No, no, no.
the
That's not what we're
intelligence
arguing
of
about.
listen,
Not,
listen,
not.
listen. Just let me finish.
Boy, you
It's
a slickster.
irrelevant. It's
You slick.
irrelevant to talk about.
You a slickster. Go ahead.
No, I'm not a slickster. It's irrelevant for
Don't
me
slide
even
out
to
it.
it's irrelevant for me even to be going back and forth about the intelligence of black people because me saying what I'm saying and my ideology has nothing to do with the intelligence of black people. It
No,
has
I asked you that
way
question, brother. Brother, I asked
it
you that.
has way more to do with the intelligence of white people.
No, I asked you the question point blank. I said, "Do you feel that as black people, you say we get distracted with race?" I said, "So you feel like we can't still say race, but still no,
I still
no,
think that we do get distracted with race,
no,
but
no."
I think it is I think white I say and if you go back to whenever I was talking in the beginning,
Oh
I
my God.
said when we was talking in the beginning, I said I feel like there are some powerful people that have both black people and white people distracted. And then I gave you the analogy. I use your same analogy when you was talking about the person that love your music. And I said, these are people that love your music, that was your friends, that we was cool with. And I feel like when you start talking about race and you put them in a position, now you put them in a position to pick sides. Not saying you in general, I'm saying whenever the government, the algorithm, and all of these powerful things, when they put that in front of them, and make them feel like they have to choose sides. Now they choose a side. But if they was never put in a position where they felt like they had the only, if they was put in a position where they felt like the only side that they had to choose was white, right or wrong, I feel like a lot of those people may choose differently, bro. And
Well,
but
look, you
because of the
know what? If it makes them
because of the
uncomfortable,
fact of the matter that you put somebody in a position, you adding this extra layer of decision
you know
making,
what?
which makes it difficult for people to make decisions.
Okay, let's be totally honest. You know what I'm saying, I want to make sure I say his name right. You know what I'm saying? Oh God, what's his name? That was with Dr. Martin Luther King. God, he was in a congressman, but he passed. And I remember he said continue to make in good trouble. And the thing about it is, one thing he said, and even Malcolm X said it, he said, you know what? You have to make them uncomfortable about race. So they also can now be looking at the fact they're trying to prove they're not racist, which give us time to really see everything else they're doing and understand it. And that's what I asked you. And I said, do you feel that we can still voice our opinion as racism, but still at the same time be able to understand everything, the bottom line of what they're doing? And you said not the majority our base, as in I'm like, so you don't
No,
feel
I
we're
said
intelligent?
as the masses. When
I,
we talking about the masses, no, because you can change one word or two words in something, and then it means something totally different, and
so
that's
you
not
want so
exactly
let me
what I
ask you this.
said. What
Let
I
me ask you this.
said
So you
was,
so you
as the
want us to be quiet.
majority, I feel like we get distracted by race
And I
sometimes,
said,
and we
and I
miss
say
the
we don't.
overall situation.
I said
And
we
you
might
said,
say it's race.
and
I
you
said
said
we
we
might say
don't,
it's
and I
race.
said, as the masses, we do. But
Well, that okay.
that's
Well,
not the
then
same. That's
we
not
have a
the
different opinion.
same thing as saying that's not the same thing as saying that we can't talk about both. That's two different things.
But if you're saying, well, I won't argue that with you because we move on with it because we gonna always disagree of it. But all I'm saying is, it's simple. You know, what I'm hearing from you, and I know you don't mean it that way. You might not even know that you mean it that way because, like you tell me, I be on these sites and all this stuff, and I be into all of that stuff and whatever, whatnot. Like, sir, that shit gonna damage your mind. I know, I know how you be feeling with me on it, but because I like to pay attention and see what's going on and see the temperature, what's understanding, what's being said and what's going on. Because I travel the world, I travel the United States, so I want to know where I'm at. I know want to know what's going on. But the thing that is, I feel like this is, I have to look at the situation where I feel I know for a fact, and this has come from some of our leaders of the past when we had real black leaders. Do not let them throw you off of what their main objective. Yeah, it might be money and power, and again, but it also is still oppression that they want. And they want us to be good people. Don't cause problems. Don't say anything. Don't say it's racist. Just like I
I
said, just
don't
like
even
I
think
said,
I said any of those things. Like don't cause
so
problems. I don't
yeah,
think I said none of
but
that.
no, I'm not saying that you said that. I'm saying what a lot of times, because what I'm trying to make you understand is there's another fight. You know what I'm saying? No, I don't like to fight with other black men or other black women that are saying, there y'all go about racism, everything, y'all the divide, y'all the ones that put up. If I put up a post about anything that seems like this, I felt like, man, this racist,
Be
y'all better
aware of
understand.
division
Hold,
because
hold.
it's ungodly.
So, but other people will sit there and tell me, and will sit there and say, "See, man, you the cause of the division. Black people like you cause division. There you go, race baiting." No, if I'm putting up something that I feel is wrong, that I feel I want my people to understand and know and see, then I'm a race baiter now. I'm rage baiting and everything else. You know what I'm saying? And then, like black leaders have said in the past, do not if you see it, you say it, you call it out. Do not let them throw you off what's really going on, because you have to call it out. And so I feel like people want us to be quiet and say, it's okay. That's what's dividing this country. When somebody, you a black man, say, oh man, that's racist what they did, man. Y'all pay attention. And that's me from giving information, but now I'm considered that's dividing this country that is already has never been together. That's been
And I
farly
think
divided.
where I'm at with it, I'm more like, yes, we're gonna recognize that something was racist, but then I'm also going to take the time to explain this is why it was racist.
And
And I
I,
think
and guess what?
sometimes,
And do it all the
and
time.
I think sometimes that part get missed, and because that part get missed, I think it's very difficult to be positive and move forward and have some understanding.
Okay, Don, I'm not gonna have positivity about anything that's going on in this world when it comes to my people. You know what I'm saying? Of what's being done to my people. You know, until we till we are in a position. You know what I'm saying? To really, because we're in a position, but we're not doing it collectively. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna find no positivity out of, in my opinion, we different. You're not gonna find no positivity. You know what I'm saying? You look at the fact of what went on with Target, right? Which was a great thing. And you know what the first thing our own people did? Our own people start going at that Reverend Jamal Bryant, start going at him, start going in his personal life of it, whatever mistake he might have made or how much he make money and live. And you know how me and you both are about our reverends. I'll be hard on him, but you know I don't play about my man of the cloth, period. And you definitely don't. And look, he organized something that showed something that we should have been doing. And they found as it got stronger and stronger, guess who came? Not white people, black people came at him. And see, that's the problem that we have because we have so much infighting. We can't learn to agree to disagree, and they count on that. They count on us to have our disagreements of what how you should stand or not stand. That's just like they got people who sit down and say, me and you know what I'm saying, or sellouts, or Uncle Tom's, or whatever, whatnot. You know, when we was at the radio station, look where y'all at. Y'all, that's the white man radio station, this, that, and that. And I turned right back to them. I said, if you so blacker than blacker than blacker than black, I don't want you wearing not a doggone damn thing that the white man created, period. Until you could do that and live through, don't say nothing to me. You know what I'm
Let's
saying?
switch.
So,
Let's switch gears
so
for a second
yeah,
since
we
we're
could
talking
we could
about
switch that.
race.
Yeah, I mean we good. I mean because
No,
I'm
we
sorry
definitely
out there to
good,
hold
my
up.
bro.
I'm sorry out there to everybody in Morning Brew. This is a side of me y'all don't know. I don't play about my people and I don't play about my mouth being closed. I'm not. I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
No,
we could chamber. We can move
no,
over.
we super good. We super good. I think we mostly agree.
Yeah, we
Um,
do. We
yeah, I
agree.
think we mostly agree on a lot of things. But I wanted to read this comment before we move on. Passover Poppy said, P, you called it layer that gets added on, but racism is the foundation of the issue. And if we don't tell you the foundation of your house is bad, how can we explain why I don't like being in it? So
That's a solid thought.
yeah, it's a solid thought. I think that was kind of what I was saying too when I said no. I think you got to call out racism, but I think once you call out the racism, you explain why is it racist? Because I think a lot of times, especially in our modern day generation, I'm not talking about these old people from way back when. I'm not talking about these people in some of these political places, but a lot of our new generations, they don't really understand the full dynamics of racism, and we need them to understand why it's racism. And I think sometimes when you explain to them why it's racism, we end up with more allies than we do with enemies. But if we just go and start telling people, oh man, that's racist, you go racist, everybody are racist. I think what end up happening is you start creating racist. It's the same
Well,
thing. Well, listen, I'm gonna give you an analogy. I'm a I'm gonna give you an
um,
analogy on that. Just let me just give you an analogy on it. Then we gonna move. We gonna still be talking about race because I gotta
oh
talk
no,
about this
I'm
other
good. I'm good. Go
situation.
ahead. Go ahead. I'm
No,
good.
check it out. This is the analogy. I'm gonna say in most cases, with men and women, what is the number one thing that women accuse men of doing?
What, being misogynist? Okay.
In most cases, you feel what I'm saying? In most cases, we don't even gotta break down men and women. We could just say in relationships. The biggest issue in relationships is people accusing each other of cheating.
Well, we can bring
When
race into that. We
listen
can bring
though,
race into
but
that.
but but when you continue to accuse somebody of cheating, and they not cheating, what they eventually gonna do? In most cases, what is it gonna
Nah,
lead to?
it can lead to cheating, or it can lead to end
It's
of a
gonna lead
relationship.
to
No,
right. So you
but
take
no,
a person. Wait, wait, wait.
today's man, no, it's changing. Today's man is saying, I'm not gonna put up with all that. My peace is better. I'm gonna walk away from you. I'm gonna get away from you. A lot of men don't even
Yo,
want that. I'm gonna tell you, a lot of men don't
even
want the headache.
even men that are controlling with women, even men that are controlling with women, and they be like, "Oh, you cheating, you cheating, you cheating, you cheating." What eventually that woman gonna do? Cheat.
She gonna go out and cheat. Well,
Exactly. So
well,
so you don't think the same scenario, you don't think the same scenario could possibly maybe happen when you got a group of people that's saying, "Oh man, we're not racist. We don't even believe in race." Whoa, 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 whoa. But we keep on saying, "Nah, you racist. You racist. You racist. You racist. You racist." And we ain't even
I
and
think
you
you're
ain't
giving an
and then you
outlook.
ain't but you ain't explaining to them nothing like, "Well, this is why I feel." You ain't communicating
Okay.
nothing. You just say, "You racist, you racist." You don't think you could possibly make somebody be racist?
Let me tell you something. I think right now the fooling part is on us because we're fighting as black people that do feel they have a voice and know how many know during the 60s when somebody black stood up they were killed. That we're going to speak our mind and we're going to speak it. And people don't want that. White people don't want that have that agenda, that hidden agenda, because sometimes it's hidden and sometimes it's not. They want people to stay. They want me and you to talk to each other and say, you shouldn't bring about race about every time, or this, that, and that, or me and you, or we have a disagreement,
I
or
said I don't
even
think
me.
we
No,
necessarily got to
no,
lead
no,
every
no,
conversation with
no,
race.
no,
But
no.
I do
But
want to
I'm
ask
just,
you. I do want to
no,
ask you
I'm
this
just.
question though. I want to ask you this question. Why you feel like because I'm saying we don't necessarily got to lead with race every single time. Why does that make you feel like I'm saying you can't talk about race?
Because to be totally honest, man, I'm and this going by like you said earlier when we were talking about the military. You say your brother and few others, right? And I can sit down and say my guys in the Pentagon where everything starts at, right? So it's not that
He a
my
brother?
sources. Hold up, no, no, my source is better than yours. No, it doesn't say that. But what
No, I'm
I'm
saying is
sorry.
your is your boy a
Let me
is your boy a
answer.
brother?
Let me answer, bro, to
Is
your
your
question.
brother is your
Let me.
homie a brother?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
And he at the
27 years.
Pentagon.
27 years in the Pentagon where
And he
all
at
the
and he at the Pentagon.
yes.
27 years.
And I still have security clearance from my military days
Right.
because of my MOS, because of my MOS. But the point I'm
So you
saying,
mean to tell me
let me answer your question, bro. God damn. So what I'm saying is I'm sorry. Maybe you catching my storm and I apologize, my brother, to you. But I'm seeing something that I've been wanting to speak about. I've seen a lot of black people, and I'm wrong for throwing you for a minute into that category because I know you. I know your blackness. But I'm seeing a lot of black people, and I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired of black people because I feel like you know, white supremacists are using black people now because to push their agenda towards black people because it won't come off as bad because then we'll just argue about it. We won't be outraged about it. And I'm seeing too many black people. I get so much as a black. I put out a song. I just put out a regular song. It was a cool song, right? Just to put it out, a clip. And I'm using music as an example because music is the cult talk of the world, And I put out that, and they were like, "Oh, that's cool, right?" And they asked me, and I said, "Bro, I'm not into that talking about murder and talking about guns and all this stuff that I live, that I express myself. I was part of the problem and be part of the solution." Now watch this. I put out a song called Revolution. Just put the clip out. I had more black people coming like, "Serve, that ain't it, my brother. That ain't it, man. Serve, all that racism stuff. I don't get it. I'm not with it." And so technically, man, my thing is I'm just really tired of having arguments with black men saying that Why you got to always speak about white and black? Why you got to always speak about racism? You know what I'm saying? So for me, it just kind of hits this little, but so I'm sorry you got caught in it and what I've been dealing with that I feel like I've been wanting to talk about because I'm so tired of, where we got now black people are telling you, man, don't speak about that. What you put that post up for? You know what I'm saying? You putting up fake news, something that was brought into this when Donald Trump came in. Everything is fake news when you put something out. And so I guess I'm just to a point, man, where I'm just like, you know, you know, don't tell me what I can feel and what I could say. And it's not that I'm saying everything is racist. Not saying you doing it, but I deal with that, and now it then got me to a point where it's number one, we don't have black leaders. We don't have no strong, true black leaders at all. And I'm not trying to be that, but I'm a soldier, so I'm going to speak where I feel it at, and I don't want to fuss with my brothers about me speaking on racism and thinking that's all I'm speaking on. That's all I'm saying. That is racism. It's racism. We haven't even have black people that are standing saying, well, black people are racist too. Black people are racist too. And it's like we have a separation of state within the black community right now. That bothers me. We
I
we
don't, I
we are
don't
very,
know. I don't know exactly what people are calling racism when it comes to black people. But
we're not.
what I will say is, I think as a black person, you got to be race aware. I was just
Yeah.
having a
Oh,
conversation. I had a
exactly.
long conversation with one of my good friends that I grew up with, which we'll use this to switch over and talk about this Nolan Xavier Wells situation. That's a situation that's close to my community, and one of the things that I'm seeing is our community being divided, and I'm talking about we all grew up together, ate at each other's houses, and we are letting national people that had nothing to do with our community start putting a label on our community that really for a long time probably was non-existence. And so I'm having this conversation with my guy, and let's be real, I'm talking to him about race, and he asked me here a question, and he said, yo, Don, why is everybody saying that this gotta be a racist thing? He was like, we all done took boats and went out to that island so many times growing up, and I never felt like we had race issues. And so I broke it down to him, and I was telling him, I was like, no, y'all never really felt like that, but us, we were very race conscious when we went out to that island. That's why when you made the joke in the beginning, well, it wasn't a joke, you was being serious, and you was like, man, you could have been Nolan. I took it as a joke because I was like, no, I couldn't have been Nolan because I never would have went to that island with all of the white people out there and been feeling that comfortable to be drinking, getting out of my mind. I would have been having a different kind of water safety because I understood the difference in race. And so in me explaining that, he said, well, why is everybody bringing up race? And I said, well, for me, one of the reasons that I'm bringing up race, I said, do I think that them dudes did something to that guy because he was black? I said, I seriously doubt it. I said, but what I do think happened is, I think with horse playing and whatever happened that was going on, something happened and it was negligent. And I say, this is where race becomes a part of it. Them dudes came back to the shore on a boat, gave brought the phone back to the dude mom without bringing him back, and was not detained by the police, was not questioned, had time to lawyer up, and all of these things happened. And I said, you switch that situation around and make it four black guys and one white guy, and four black guys come back without one of y'all. And every single one of them would have been locked up. They would have been detained and they would have been assumed guilty until proven innocent. And I was like, this is why, this is where race comes into play. And I think that's the part where I feel like sometimes people miss it. I'm not one of those type of people that like, oh, they did something to that dude because he was black. No, that dude went out there and people stopped being race conscious and understanding what characteristics go with your culture, and something happened. And when
Okay.
something happened and you put people in a strenuous situation, this is when race becomes an issue.
Okay, let me ask you this. So, do your mindset on that, is it judged on the fact of your time in life back then being young and how what you went through, and not maybe this is a different time and age and day and age, especially with an administration that is based on so much that has racism and that's going on right now. Do you so you are you basing your opinion that maybe it wasn't any foul play that could have been on the fact of a racial situation, because when you were out there, you know what I'm saying, you didn't really experience
I'm
that
basing it.
because
I'm
you were
basing it on the.
conscious.
I'm basing it on the nature of the culture of the Gulf Coast right now.
Okay, well, okay, and that's one thing I wanted to ask you too. Okay, you based that. That's your answer. Okay, cool, right? So because you live there, right? And I understand that. That's like I'm from New Orleans, you're not. And you say like, hey man, it's more, I've experienced more racism in New Orleans, you know what I'm saying, than I've ever experienced on the Gulf Coast, right? We can also say that anybody, any not just you, I'm talking about all of us, because I lived in Virginia. And my first real racist incident to me, because in New Orleans, we normally, as far as white people wise or whatever, would not. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mean to say it like this. They knew how to stay in their place in New Orleans. Now you go outside Kenner and Metairie or whatever, you might get called the N word or whatever, would not. But in New Orleans, it's rare because we party together, we be around each other, but we still not we're mindful of what it is. Like you said, you're mindful and understand when we're out there on that lake or whatever, would not. So I could say when I've come to the Gulf Coast, and like basically every year for a couple of years, especially whether it's my church trip, going out there, like I told you, the wave pool, all that stuff, Long Beach and everything else, and then just going out there, period, on situations, I experienced a lot of it. You know what I'm saying? Of like, I knew, like, man, let me get up out here. Let me go. I'm not comfortable out here. Let me go or whatever, would not. But then somebody once told me, even Meridian, Mississippi, where my guy from, you know what I'm
Well, I feel like
saying?
Meridian, Mississippi is a whole different ball
Yeah.
game
No, no, I'm
than the
saying, but
community
I'm
that
saying,
I grew up in.
but what I'm saying, how they look at it, like they look at it like I'm sitting back, like you bringing me by this poach by a guy named Bull Junk, right? And so I'm going there and I'm looking at the flag, the Confederate flag there. And he's like, man, he's cool. That's why our guy serve is not like that, man. He wouldn't play this, play that way. And the first thing when he come out is like, you know, said something. He said, "Oh man, how you doing, sir? Hey boy, what's going on?" And I looked, and it was like, sir, if he joked like that, no, I don't play like that. I don't play like that. You know what I'm saying? And so it was like the first thing that I was told, like, man, there you go, with you, Malcolm X. So now they got a whole different outlook of me because I'm like, I'm not used to that. In New Orleans, I don't get called boy. You know what I'm saying? Or think it's joking and it's cool. You know what I'm saying? So I get what you're saying, because to me, I don't think people should judge the Gulf Coast by the fact that this incident happened. You know what I'm saying? Because I do feel like I don't think I think that people, kids his age, their age, are different right now, where you know the way they play, the way they act, the way they do, because white and black kids now are closer than what in my generation black and white was, and then the generation before, for sure, right? Where, man, they cool, man. That's my people. We play ball together, we do sports together, we go by each other's house. They're different, which sometimes I'm happy to see that, because that give me hope. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, but I think sometimes because of social media, it has changed how people deal with stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like just for instance, if somebody was joking or whatever, whatnot, and touch you on your shoulder or whatever, whatnot, or just certain words they might say. I think social media and a lot of the climate of the United States has made you change. I found that over essence when I went in a bar that I usually go to. You know what I'm saying? And it was being funny. You want some Hennessy? And my first mindset I had to catch myself. You know what I'm saying? A white bartender who I know, I was like, what the Hennessy joke about? Why you keep asking Hennessy? You know, I don't drink Hennessy or whatever, would not. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, oh man, that's you know how that song go, this, that, and that, and that. And I'm just, so I think the climate of what's going on in the country is leading people to misunderstand the Gulf Coast. And you being a black man, I'm glad you're explaining it. Like it's not what y'all think because you know what I'm saying, or not how we y'all really think it is, but we do understand the racist aspect of the history of Mississippi and those areas. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So I think it's
And let's be clear, bro. I'm not saying that racism don't exist on the Gulf Coast. I would be a fool to be sitting up here telling people that's not what I'm saying. Me and my high school friends can, just as much as we can talk about stories where we all got along, I can tell you some racist stories that happened on the Gulf Coast. You feel what I'm saying? So
mhm.
I do want to be clear on that. What I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, I don't, based on my knowledge of the Gulf Coast, it's not the same as how people are portraying it. Like they took this young man out to Horn Island to do something to him, right?
What
That 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 makes
let
sense.
me
What I'm
no, it makes
saying.
sense. Let me ask you a
I,
question
I
though. Let
don't
me
I don't think they took him to
okay.
Horn Island to do something to him, which brings me to the point to address Jeezy comment because Jeezy said, "I don't understand you. They didn't do anything to him just because he's black, but them not doing anything to help him or his family is because he's black though."
Okay, let me
And
ask you
so I,
this.
I kind of wanna
Oh, go
address
ahead. No, you
that.
got it. You got that one. Go ahead, baby.
I, I
I
just
really
I
want to hear
just
this.
I just want to address that.
Yeah.
I kind of talked about this earlier, but I'll go into a little bit deeper situation with it. Well, this is how I feel. I feel like they didn't take him out there to do something to him because he black. I feel like one thing that where race come in, and I talked about this before, where race come in is cultural differences, right? So we have cultural differences. When we grew up as black people, we it's just a common rule. You leave with you leave with somebody, you come back with somebody. A lot of times in their culture, that's not the same thing, bro. Like like they got some cultural differences. That's why I say when you're around a different culture, you have to be you have to be race conscious or you have to be cultural
Well,
conscious, right? And so
yeah.
and so I don't think it was that they ain't do nothing to help him because he was black. But where I do think race come into play is they gonna use their power and their resources not to suffer the same consequences that somebody else would because of their race. Their race allowed them to make mistakes and not have to suffer the consequences. It's not necessarily about the fact of the matter of, oh, we took him out there to do something to him because he was black. I don't
Hmm.
think that's how we feel. Because it's even black people that's mad on the Gulf Coast. Don't get this twisted. Like we all honky dory and everything cool. No, we mad because we like, well, if something happened or whatever the hell, why y'all ain't come back and report it? Why y'all got
Okay.
lawyers? Why
Okay. Let me
why
ask you this.
why the police ain't locking these people up?
Let me ask you this.
Why they haven't been detained for questioning? That's
Let me
that's
let
where
me
the
let me
race
ask you
come
this
in
though.
at.
Let me ask you this in a two-part question, right? Two-part question. number one, and this is reports that because the God told me, sir, well, you're not investigator, you don't know, but there's openly reports, right, that they wouldn't. I was like, why wouldn't they let them the family identify his body? And from and I can't say the name, but he's related to me. You know what I'm saying? But he's former FBI. And I go to him for information of learning things. And he said, because there's more to it that's going on. Maybe if they identify the body, there's bruises. There are things that maybe they're about to cover up. It could be bruises to show certain things that it was a struggle or certain things that would change the whole landscape of it. And then, of course, it's out there the reports, and me and that individual talked to. There's 30 years in the FBI, and he basically said, okay, the young lady is talking, and she was the girlfriend. And he said, now as former law enforcement, you're going to put some things together. She's a white young lady, he's black, and then you have these white young men. Okay, was it an issue? Was it a problem? And of course, liquor was involved, and arguments were heard or whatever, would not. So it leads to people to think, and I think it is unfair to assume that, automatically that is it could be a racial situation,
No,
right?
I think you. No,
With
I ain't gonna go that
no,
far. I think
no,
you
no,
gotta say race play a part in it.
no, yeah, but see, but this is the thing that I'm asking you. Do from your aspect, because you're more insight to the mindset and the ideology of that part of the country, right? Do you feel that, like it's an attack on the life you grew up in, that that people that are not from there don't know how it really is? You know what I'm saying? And that
No,
people
I
just
definitely think. Yeah, I agree. Yes, sir. I'm gonna say.
you
I'm gonna say. And this
because
not
I
so
take
much.
up in New Orleans all the time because I feel like
Wait,
I
wait.
know New Orleans, and
I'm
this
gonna
is where you
say.
from.
I'm gonna say it like this. Not so much me, because I haven't lived there in a lot of years. Even though I go
Mm.
back and visit, my kids live there, my mom lived there. I haven't lived there in years, so I don't have
The things
that.
don't
That
change. You know that. You
no,
know it.
I
Yeah.
wait. I don't have that personal. I
Hmm.
don't think I'm so much
Connection.
personally
Connected.
connected, like to to the heart, to the core, to the bone. But I do think, with speaking with some of my friends and been, with this situation going on, I've been talking to a lot of people from home, and I
Yeah.
do think that a lot of people at home in Mississippi do feel
Excuse
like
me.
that. I
Yeah.
would concur and say, overall, if I had to make, you know what I'm saying,
An
a
assessment.
general,
Yeah.
yeah, a
Assessment.
general assessment, I would say, hell yeah, they feel like they culture, they way of lifestyle, they standard of living. I feel like, yeah, they feel like it's being attacked by, the country, the social media people, and all of that stuff. I feel that, because I
Okay.
didn't feel that at first, but after having some conversations with
Mhm.
people last night, that is how they made me feel.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Do you feel, when it comes down to everything that's going on, do you feel it's a duty for you as a black man to even have the mindset on the racist aspect that could have been involved in it with today's climate? And somebody who has a platform, who I won't say their name, they brought up a kind of assessment that I had to say, should I look at it that way or not? Right? And what their assessment was, and I think they was wrong for throwing this out, but you have to sit down and think, especially if you're on TikTok. Like I told you, it's TikTok is very racist right now. Very, it's bad, man. The way white and black are going at each other, right? And so it's bad, very bad. So, and the president just spoke about how great TikTok is, because the agenda is pushed more on TikTok with race, a lot of race stuff, than on Instagram, Facebook, X, period, right? So somebody said, was this get back for Carmelo Anthony? Meaning, he took a life of a young white man. I mean, so he felt self-defense or whatever. How
That is a major conspiracy
and no, I know. So, but
based
but to say, but
ideology, and I
but
don't
I mean,
know.
I'm not saying I believe that, but I'm saying, do you feel like, because the way we live by conspiracies in the United States, You know, a lot of people live because that's what somebody told me when I put the thing up, right? They said, you know, see all that conspiracy stuff, that's what's killing America, and young black youth are out of control because of stuff like that. So, you know, for them to raise that question, right? You know what I'm saying? Do you feel like at this point in time, everybody should sit back and learn the facts and find out what's going on because this is where you grew up
I
at.
don't
This
I
is
don't
where
know
you
if
grew
I'm
up
a
at.
I don't know if I'm gonna go that far because I think it's unrealistic to ask people to not have some kind of speculation. I think with the type of case it is and with some of the facts that we already know, I think it would be unrealistic to ask people to think or I mean to not be suspicious in some kind of way, right?
Okay.
I think that's just unreal.
All
I
right.
think that's
All right.
unrealistic
You,
all the
you
way around.
now you know I love doing this, bro, because I love when you answer. You're a deep brother, bro. So I want people to understand who you really are just as much if they don't know by now. Let me ask you this. Does this change on the way because of the climate of this country right now? We're not talking about not just history, but the climate of this country. Do this change the way when you're raising a young black man, right? Because mostly you will see young black teens cool with young white teens, right? So does it make you say I got to sit down not only teach my son that yeah, Billy could be cool, you know, and Billy done been going by this and that and that, but I need you to be aware of history and where it could fall at. Not saying Billy is like that or whatever would not, you know what I'm saying? Or does it make you also say, no, you know what? Let me keep my son by ours. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a bit by their own kind because this climate is so bad. You know what I'm
No,
saying? So does it change your mindset of things like the Carmelo Anthony trial, then this and some other things
no.
like in
I think
Georgia? Just now they just had something else with a young man in Georgia that you know what I'm saying with a racist incident or whatever would not was more than a couple of more white some white people or whatever would not and one
yeah.
young black man. So does it make you
No,
change
you want me? You
how you
ready?
look at
Let me
your
know when you're
teaching your
ready.
son? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, answer.
Yeah. No. No. I already raised my son to be very cultural conscious, race conscious, race aware. I already teach my son, you feel what I'm saying? There's good people and there's bad people. And the color of their skin is the color of their skin. But please believe just as many bad white people out there, it's some bad black people out there. So I'm raising my son to shame. Even with whenever I'm picking his schools, whenever I'm picking what neighborhood I'm living in, I'm weighing pros and cons. You feel
'Cause
what
I
I'm
remember you
saying?
once said you want him in a diverse
Yeah.
situation. But Lee, yeah,
I want my kid to be in a diverse situation. You know why I want my kid to be in a diverse situation? So that he can understand the cultural patterns, no matter what the race or the people that he's around, so that he make good decisions no matter where he's at to keep himself safe. Because the realization of it is whether you with the group of all whites or a group of all blacks, if you don't understand the cultural patterns to the area where you at and you not making good decisions, either way you could die.
okay. But I'm glad you made that point. So, and because I know how you feel, and I agree with you on all of that. So, definitely, same thing. I think the same way with my son. But let me ask you this: do you think that we as black people, you know what I'm saying, we relax because we got this mindset that white people scared of us, they'll never do us nothing? You know, they won't do us nothing because they're afraid of us, that we end up relaxing and be put in situations where maybe we shouldn't, you know, because it's been incidents where young men and men have went out with white people and have went to a party and they basically the only black person there, and then this didn't happen, that didn't happen, where they got beat up,
You
whether
ain't
this
gonna
didn't
like
happen.
my answer to
So
this one.
so do you think that we get too relaxed? You know what I'm saying? And say, you know,
I think we get too relaxed in all situations. And if I was to do statistics, I probably could come up with way more stories were black kids left with a bunch of black kids and somebody didn't come home.
Well, see, I think that right there, now right there, and I think that's the thing that
And I
I
and I
think,
think a lot of people will
but I
get
think
mad
that
at
gets,
that.
but I think that's covering
We
that
we
part
hear
right
we
there.
we
No,
hear
that's the truth. It's the truth. You
the
have a right.
same story, the same story that we talking about with Nolan Xavier Wells, the same
Mm.
story that we talking about with him. We heard that story within black people 5 times this year.
Okay, all right,
Where
and
we
that's
had a
and
good athlete, somebody that did everything that they were supposed to do. They had scholarships, they did all of this stuff. They left the house with their black friends and they didn't come home.
so. Do you think that's dangerous to say, dangerous or smart to say? Well, before you look deeper into my son or somebody leaving with white people and be scared that they're leaving with white people. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be that much scared because it's even scarier for them to leave with a group of black people.
Sometimes, depending on who those black people are and where they going, a lot of those places that your kids going with those white kids is way statistically less dangerous than the places that they going with them black kids.
But who doing their statistics?
I'm basing
Because
these statistics.
no, because
I'm basing these statistics off of my own perspective.
okay,
And so whenever I say that, you hear way more stories about a black teenager going to a house party or to a basketball game or to a football game with all black kids and one of them good kids that have and one of them good kids that was not into nothing, didn't have no bad background or nothing like that. You hear way more stories about them not coming home than you hear about a
so
black kids
so
going to
you
hang with some
feel
white kids and not coming home.
so you feel safer if your kid was going out with a group of white kids than going out with a group of black kids.
I feel safer with my kid having a good understanding of knowing cultural awareness. I think either it don't matter who they hanging with, they gotta have culture awareness. They gotta be aware of their surroundings and they gotta have a good understanding of the lay of the land. It depends on the kid. It depends on if my kid is a diverse kid. Some
But if
kids
but
they
if but if
some
but
some
if
kids don't some kids don't have enough knowledge to be able to go hang with a bunch of white kids.
but by,
They just too green.
but
Some
on your
kids,
but on
some
your
too
account.
some kids, some of my kids, they ain't hood enough to go hang with a bunch of black kids because they ain't grow up in that environment. I wouldn't trust them in the city like that.
So, but on by your reconnaissance, by the statistics, more things have happened like that with a group of black kids and a group of white kids, right? A black kid with white kids.
Unfortunately, I hate to say this because it gives a lot of people who have bad intentions material to use against us. But if I was to be honest, it happens more than often.
I mean, no, you can't argue with that because the world we live in, right? Whether people want
Bro,
to
my old high school in St. Martin, which is based in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, ask me how many times they had somebody get shot after a football game or a basketball game. As a matter of fact, ask me how many fights they had at a football game or at a basketball game.
and it was black people,
It's predominantly white.
and but who was getting this? So who
It
was
it
doing the
it it,
shooting?
it hasn't happened.
So basically,
It
you,
has never happened.
so you saying basically events like that. So man,
It never happened.
so
It,
it
it
never.
has never
So you
happened.
so it's
How
more
many times
likely.
have somebody got shot after a football game from one of the most elite schools in New Orleans? Predominantly black school in New Orleans. Carr, St. Aug.
Oh, you haven't had shootings like that in a while.
At Carr, yes. After the game, leaving the game, you've had big fights.
So basically, you're saying it's more safer from a predominantly white school for your kids than it is for the predominantly black?
Again, I say it depends on the kid. I'll be honest with you. And sometimes yes. In a lot of cases, yes.
I
Which
guess we
is
we
which is we don't want to say that, and we don't want to admit that. Even myself personally, I don't want to admit that, and I don't want to say that. But yeah, it's probably based off of certain statistics, depending on what numbers you're looking at. It's probably true.
But do you
Now,
look at
I
do
don't
you
know
look
if
at
that's true for the
statistics?
long run.
Let me
I
ask
don't
you this.
for the long run. I don't know if that's better.
So let me
That's
ask you
why I
this.
say having a little bit of both is better to me.
We always look at statistics. Do you feel like, because numbers can always be manipulated in favor to show certain situations and show certain things? Do you feel like those statistics and numbers are biased against us? That's just like when we're called the EBT and welfare race, right?
It depends on what
When
numbers we
40
looking
hold on,
at.
hold on. But when 44% of the United States white people are the most on EBT. But
It it
we're considered the ones that want the most government assistance, and we don't want to work and we don't want to do this.
it
So
depends on. You want me to answer?
yeah, go ahead.
It depends on what numbers you're looking at.
Okay,
Whether
I mean
whether
that's
whether
what.
whether you can base it if the numbers are obscured or not. It just kind of depends on what numbers that you're looking at, right? Because if we was to look at if you was to ask me the same question and you said based off of school shootings, would I rather my kid at a black school or a white school? And I'm talking about multiple, I'm talking about like, where they actually come in and have a mass shooting.
And there's
I
more
would
white
say
schools,
it's
white
it's
schools
it's yeah, it'll be less likely that you have a mass shooting at a
at a
black
black.
school. But if
So
you
doesn't
ask me,
so
if you
what?
but if
So
you ask me,
doesn't that
but
mean it's
if
safer?
you ask me on a regular everyday basis, I'm talking about just normal activity going to and from school might be safer
Okay,
at a
let me
white
ask you this.
school.
So do you take accountability? Forget just gunshots, just crime. So do you feel like what about the fact that what happens at white schools and outside of white schools coming and going is not reported because they control the judges, they control the DAs, they control charges don't be brought up and everything else that okay with black kids if they go into school coming from and they're going to school,
I'm
anything
I'm
they do is
I'm gonna
is
base it
is
off of
so how many things
I'm not
wasn't
necessarily
reported?
looking at the statistics on that. I'm basing that off of my experiences. And what I could tell you is that's why your kid gotta be, it depends on the kid. That's why what kid you have is important. If I got a kid that's easy manipulated, I don't know which school I want them to go to. Because white kids, the issues that's gonna come with the white kids or the white school, they have money and access to stuff. So they have way more access to harmful things like drugs. They could get way better drugs. You feel what I'm saying? Now your kid probably gonna end up smoking some weed at the
Are
black
doing a whole
school,
lot more. Are
but
doing a
at
whole
the
lot
white
more.
school,
Forget. Don't say just
if they
weed, pills.
if if they not if I'm talking about at the black school, but
Oh,
if they at the white school, if you don't have them trained and socially conscious, they popping pills and snorting powder. They have access, they have access to more things. That's why I say this question is a loaded question because it depends on the kid and what the kid has been educated for,
so
which is ultimately why for me I believe in diverse environments and making sure that your kids are race conscious, socially conscious,
so do you feel you can't
culturally
teach?
conscious.
You don't feel like you could teach them even if they're at a black school. You don't think you could teach a black child to be race conscious and understand because they still have to live the real world. You know what I'm
Well,
saying? Even if you
I think
decide to say,
I think it's difficult to learn something and understand something that you have that you have no connection with. I think I think it could happen, but you got to do other things to you got to do other things to introduce them to other environments. Like just because my kids may go to a predominantly white school, I'm also going to be doing things with them to make sure that they are very conscious of other environments outside of that environment.
So do you? So
And
do you? You
it'll be the same way when my kid has went to a predominantly black
so
school.
if so
My kids have done both.
So what is based on? Is it based on you getting a better educational system within a majority white school? You know what I'm saying? Or is the fact that they're in a diverse because they're gonna deal with it's gonna teach them how to deal with the world because the world is black and white better. You know what I'm saying? So do you base it
I
on your
think it's
education that they're gonna get because
I
of
think
the
it's a for me it's multiple things. Like
okay.
it's not just education, it's multiple things. Like it's just multiple things. I wouldn't send my kid I wouldn't send my kid to an all white school just because it got a better education because the social things that come with that school might be damaging to my kid, way more damaging than not having education. So I can't base it on just education. I can't base it just on if they socially belong. I can't
Hmm.
base it on just uh the football team. I can't you feel what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
it's a pie. You feel what I'm saying? So it's multiple things that I gotta
base things
it's
on yeah.
yeah,
Do
it's
all
a
right.
formula, man.
Before yeah.
I gotta look at the whole formula.
Before we roll out a lot of this stuff, and and I don't want you to go in the chat and see what they're saying, but do you think right now is more difficult to being a parent of say 7 to 18 right now than it's ever been in history? A black parent.
Hell
Is
yeah.
it more
I think any I
difficult?
think I think any age.
No, like your child from self, because we know you got nursery, but once you get to 5, 6, and now they're going to first grade, second grade, on up to high school, do you think it's more difficult being a parent, a black parent today? And I'm gonna put an extra thing on this because me and you we had these discussions. Being a black father, teaching and his child how to navigate through, let's be real, a white black society. So is
Man,
it harder
I
now
think
than ever in history, even in the
yeah,
60s?
and I don't even think race got nothing to do with it. I think it's just harder right now because of social media and the amount of things that they are exposed to, and the amount of influence and the amount of outside influences. Right, like
Hmm.
kids nowadays have so many outside influences based on when we was growing up. So each one of those outside influences are a distraction, right? And so
Hmm.
when you dealing with all of these distractions, you feel what I'm saying? That automatically gonna bring challenges in parenting.
Okay. Now stop right there.
Everything is
Stop right there.
harder.
No, you gave me what I wanted, and I love the answer. I gotta do this, but I hate doing this because I like interviewing you. I'm sorry. Last question before we go to the chats. If a young man at 21, he got a 20, 23, 24, 5 years old, and he got a 6-year-old son about to start first grade, and he's like, Mr. Don, man, you got a son going to college and everything, this, that, and that. This father thing as a black father is killing me, man. Everything going on in the world. What advice would you give him if he say, "Give me something that I can base how to help raise my son going through these times, Mister Don? I'm nervous. I'm trying to understand it. You know what I'm saying? How do I give me something? What would you tell that young black father right now that's got a 6-year-old kid, whether it's female or male? Going into first grade and he's nervous that okay these years gonna fly by and I want to be the best father possible. What give me the one gem you would tell him if he say I want to listen and I'm gonna listen to you well.
I mean, you raise your kid with good morals, man. Right is right, wrong is wrong. For me, my base and foundation is, Christianity. You feel what I'm saying? And so I'm gonna base my right and wrong off of Christianity. But wherever your right and your wrong come in at, you got to get a good base. You got to get a good foundation. And no matter how complicated it get, or how it could get cloudy, and no matter how many distractions come and all of that good stuff, just remember your financial base. I mean, not your
Mhm.
financial base, your moral
Spiritual.
base. Yeah,
Yeah.
your moral. Whatever your
More
moral
bit.
compass, come from. Mine is spiritual. You feel what I'm saying? But everybody might not be a Christian. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But wherever they moral base is right and what's wrong is wrong. That's how you going you base your parenting off of that. Whenever you
Mm-hmm.
get in a situation and you feel like it's questionable, you go with what's right is right and wrong is wrong.
Good advice, man. Damn, that's good advice. Cause these young fathers, I think, they're growing up in a hostile environment because some of them come from the struggle and come from the worst times we've ever been as black people within the black community. You know what I'm saying? These last 40 years, 30, 40 years. So I mean, I think our young fathers, for them to be better fathers, to raise better kids and better citizens. You know what I'm saying? I think our generation has to talk more to them. You know what I'm saying? And don't feel butting in like, hey, young man, let me, that ain't the way. Don't grab your son up. Cause I've done it in the grocery store. He snatched somebody. I said, man, I know, don't be mad with me, young. I know he driving you, but don't snatch him and berate him like that in his place. And I'm not gonna lie, it was a lot of white people around. That made me more so talk to him. And then we talked on the way to the car, and he was just like, man, sometimes, bro, I just don't know, OG. He just don't listen. And I used to get whipped. I don't want to do him that. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like I don't know how to deal with it. So I think we have to start passing down things, and so that's why I asked you those questions because we've talked about them more so before. Look like I think I lost you there, brother. Oh, I think I've lost him. Down, down, down. Where you at?